$16 billion US-Africa health deals, why Zambia was left out, the mining secret. 14 African countries. $16 billion US in health deals. And yet, Zambia is nowhere on the list. At a time when healthcare funding is critical, why was Zambia excluded from one of the biggest US-Africa health investment packages in recent history? Was this a diplomatic oversight, a policy choice, or something deeper? Tonight, we examine the facts. Good day, viewers. Welcome to another edition of InspirAfrica Official. I'm Nakash. It's been quite a week here, and I hope you're all doing well wherever you are across the continent and beyond. Today, we're diving into something that really caught my attention, a story that frankly, should concern every African who cares about equity, transparency, and the future of our nations. Picture this scene, the gleaming conference halls of Washington, D.C., December 2024. African leaders in tailored suits, American officials extending handshakes, cameras flashing. The announcement echoes through the room, $16 billion. That's billion with a B. The largest health sector commitment the United States has ever made to Africa. A historic moment, they called it. A new dawn for African healthcare infrastructure, pandemic preparedness, maternal health, disease eradication. Country after country steps forward to sign agreements. Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, Ethiopia, Ghana, Côte d'Ivoire. The list goes on. Billions flowing into health systems, into hospitals, into the very veins of nations struggling to provide basic healthcare to their citizens. But wait. Where is Zambia? You know Zambia, don't you? The nation sitting on some of the richest copper deposits on planet Earth. The country where Chinese, Canadian, and Australian mining corporations have extracted billions, yes, billions, in mineral wealth over the past 2 decades. The same Zambia facing one of the worst healthcare crises in southern Africa, where maternal mortality rates should make any government official lose sleep at night. So here's the question that burns. Why, when $16 billion in health funding was being distributed across Africa, was Zambia conspicuously absent from the beneficiary list? Was it incompetence? Was it pride? Or was there something far more calculated at play? Something involving mining contracts, geopolitical chess moves, and backroom deals that the Zambian people were never meant to know about. What happens when a nation rich in resources finds itself poor in leverage? What price does a population pay when their government's priorities lie buried deep in copper mines rather than in hospital beds? And most critically, who benefits when Zambia's health sector is left to crumble while its minerals continue to flow outward? Today, we uncover the mining secret that left Zambia out in the cold. Factual foundation. The revelation came to light in mid-December 2024, just days after the US-Africa Business Summit concluded in Washington, D.C. That summit, held from December 10 through 12, brought together leaders from across the continent for what the Biden administration termed a transformative partnership for Africa's future. The centerpiece of that summit was USAID Administrator Samantha Power's announcement of the Africa Health Infrastructure Initiative. A sweeping $16 billion commitment spanning multiple countries and targeting everything from hospital construction to pharmaceutical supply chains. The initiative, she explained, was designed to strengthen health systems in the wake of COVID-19 and prepare African nations for future pandemics. 13 African nations were named as primary beneficiaries. The list was impressive. Nigeria would receive $2.3 billion for health infrastructure. Kenya secured $8 billion for disease surveillance systems. South Africa negotiated $1.5 billion for pharmaceutical manufacturing facilities. Ethiopia, Ghana, Senegal, Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, Côte d'Ivoire, Angola, Mozambique, and the Democratic Republic of Congo all received substantial allocations. But Zambia's name was nowhere to be found in the official documentation. Initially, this absence went largely unnoticed. The excitement of the announcement, the sheer scale of the funding, dominated headlines across the continent. It wasn't until December 18 that a Lusaka-based investigative journalist named Mutal Chanda published a detailed analysis in the Zambian Observer asking a simple question: where is Zambia in America's $16 billion health deal? Chanda's article noted that Zambia had sent a delegation to Washington led by Health Minister Sylvia Masibo and Finance Minister Sidambiko Muzokatwane. The delegation had attended the summit sessions. They had participated in panel discussions. Photographs showed Minister Masibo shaking hands with USAID officials. Yet when the final agreements were signed, Zambia walked away empty-handed. Chanda's investigation traced the timeline backward. In September 2024, 3 months before the Washington summit, Zambia had signed a revised mining agreement with Barrick Gold Corporation and First Quantum Minerals, two of the largest copper mining operators in the country. That agreement, details of which remain partially confidential, reportedly extended mining concessions by 15 years and reduced the government's royalty rates on copper extraction from 9% to 6.5%. The agreement had been controversial domestically. Opposition leader Fred Membe of the Socialist Party had condemned it in parliament, calling it a sellout of Zambian resources for pennies on the dollar. Civil society organizations protested outside the Ministry of Mines in Kitwe. But the Hichilema government defended the deal, arguing it would attract foreign investment and create jobs. Then came October 2024. Chinese mining conglomerate CNMC, which operates the Shambishi copper mine in Zambia's Copperbelt province, announced a $4.2 billion expansion project, the largest single foreign investment in Zambian mining in a decade. The announcement came during a state visit by President Hakainde Hichilema to Beijing. During that same visit, Zambia secured a $1.3 billion loan from the Export-Import Bank of China for infrastructure projects. But here's where things get interesting. Buried in the loan agreement's terms and conditions was a clause requiring Zambia to give Chinese contractors right of first refusal on all major infrastructure projects funded by the loan for the next 7 years. Fast forward to December, and suddenly the picture becomes clearer. According to 3 sources who spoke to Chanda on condition of anonymity, 2 mid-level officials in Zambia's Ministry of Finance and 1 staffer from the U.S. Embassy in Lusaka, the United States had indeed offered Zambia participation in the Health Infrastructure Initiative. The preliminary allocation discussed was approximately $800 million, focused on maternal health facilities and rural clinic construction. But there was a condition: Zambia would need to guarantee that U.S. contractors would have significant participation in the health infrastructure projects, a standard requirement in USAID-funded initiatives to ensure quality control and technology transfer. That's where the problem arose. Zambia couldn't make that guarantee. The October loan agreement with China's Exim Bank had already locked in Chinese contractors for major infrastructure work. The Finance Ministry, according to these sources, attempted to negotiate a workaround, perhaps designating the health facilities as separate from the Chinese loan agreement. But by early November, the deal had collapsed. Direct evidence. In a revealing interview with Zambian National Broadcasting Corporation on December 22, 2024, Health Minister Sylvia Masibo was pressed on Zambia's absence from the health funding initiative. The exchange was extraordinary in its candor, or lack thereof. Reporter: Minister, Zambians are asking why we weren't included in the U.S. health infrastructure funding. Can you explain what happened? Minister Masibo: Well, first let me say that we had very productive discussions with our American partners. Very productive. The relationship between Zambia and the United States is strong, it's historic, and, it continues to grow in many sectors. Reporter: But specifically on the health funding, Minister. Minister Masibo: Yes. Look, these international agreements, they're complex. There are many factors involved. Technical factors, economic factors, diplomatic considerations. It's not as simple as just, showing up and signing a paper. Reporter: Were you offered funding that was then withdrawn? Minister Masibo: Long pause. I would say that there were preliminary discussions about various forms of cooperation. But ultimately, the terms that were being proposed didn't align with Zambia's broader development strategy at this time. Reporter: What terms specifically? Minister Masibo: I can't get into the specific details of diplomatic negotiations. That wouldn't be appropriate. But I can say that Zambia will always prioritize agreements that respect our sovereignty and our existing partnerships. Reporter: Are you referring to our agreements with China? Minister Masibo, I'm referring to all of our partnerships. Zambia maintains relationships with many countries, China, yes, but also Britain, South Africa, regional partners. We can't enter into agreements that would compromise other agreements. That's just basic diplomacy. The interview went viral on Zambian social media, with many noting Minister Masibo's visible discomfort and evasive answers. But perhaps the most damning evidence came from an unlikely source. On January 2, 2025, just days ago, a leaked diplomatic cable published by the Africa Intelligence newsletter revealed internal U.S. State Department communications about the Zambia situation. The cable, dated November 8, 2024, from the U.S. Embassy in Lusaka to the State Department in Washington, reads in part: Zambian Finance Ministry officials have informally indicated their interest in participating in the proposed health infrastructure initiative. However, FM Muzokatwane has made clear in private conversations that Zambia cannot guarantee U.S. contractor participation at the level USAID requires due to prior commitments under the October Exim Bank Agreement with PRC, People's Republic of China. The cable continues. Ministry of Health is eager to proceed and has indicated willingness to negotiate carve-outs for health facilities specifically. However, Finance Ministry has final authority on infrastructure procurement and appears unwilling to risk breach of PRC agreement. Recommend we proceed with other regional partners where contractor participation can be guaranteed. A later section of the cable is particularly revealing. Embassy assessment is that Zambia's decision to prioritize expanded mining concessions and PRC financing has effectively locked them out of major U.S. development initiatives for the foreseeable future. While this is unfortunate given Zambia's significant health sector needs, it reflects a strategic choice by the Hichilema administration to deepen economic ties with Beijing. When the Africa Intelligence published these cables, the Zambian Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued a terse statement calling the leak unauthorized disclosure of privileged communications, but notably did not dispute the content of the cables. Opposition leader Fred Membe seized on the revelations. In a January 3 press conference, that's today, he stated, "What we're seeing is a government that has literally sold our healthcare future for copper profits. They chose mining contracts with questionable benefits over guaranteed health infrastructure funding. And now they want to hide behind diplomatic language and talk about sovereignty? The sovereignty to do what? To let our mothers die in childbirth because we don't have proper facilities? The sovereignty to refuse $800 million in health funding because we've handcuffed ourselves to agreements that benefit foreign mining corporations?" Membe continued, his voice rising. President Hichilema needs to tell the Zambian people the truth. Did you refuse American health funding? If so, why? Or did you negotiate away our ability to accept it when you signed those mining deals back in September and October? The Zambian people deserve answers, not diplomatic doublespeak. The government has not responded to Membe's specific allegations as of this recording. Meanwhile, civil society organizations have begun mobilizing. The Zambian Health Workers Union issued a statement on December 28 expressing profound disappointment at the government's handling of the situation. Union President Dr. Patricia Bwalia stated, "Our healthcare workers are working in facilities that are literally crumbling. We lack basic equipment, basic medicines. And now we learned that there was funding available, significant funding. That could have transformed our health system, but it was lost due to agreements that prioritize mining profits? This is unacceptable. Our members demand a full public accounting of what happened and who made these decisions.